When it comes to the topic of poor performance or underperformance at the workplace, there has been this myth of sorts calling that a manager is required to initiate what has been commonly called a discipline flow process, which typically says you should first of all issue that staff a verbal reprimand or warning. Following that, issue them a documented counseling of some sort, counsel the employee but document it, and following that, at least issue that person 3 warning letters. That'll be the first, second, and final warning before moving on to dismiss the employee, where you would typically show cause, perhaps even conduct a domestic inquiry, and then terminate the staff. That's commonly known as a discipline flow, right? Which starts with a verbal discussion, followed by documented counseling, then it's 3 written warnings, then it's a show cause, DI, and dismissal, right? Is that law when it comes to managing performance? Absolutely not, right? We have numerous cases under the law today that says when it comes to managing staff performance, the issue of how many warning letters you issue to the employee isn't the issue. What the law instead is requiring is evidence of a genuine attempt by the direct manager to manage the underlying employee issue. Remember, the burden of proof is always shared by you as the boss. So when it comes to performance, the law actually asks for these forms of evidence. Number 1, did you establish clear performance targets or expectations, commonly known as KPIs, key performance indicators? Did you not only establish that, did you clarify it with the employee? Once you've done that, did you then sit down with the employer and say, hey, now that we worked out your KPIs, how are we going to get there? What is our action plan? That's item 2, your action plan specifically, which is your how to. This is where the manager sits down with the staff and says, okay, are we going to change our strategy? Are we going to look at a new workflow, a new process flow? Are we going to come up with a new methodology? How are we going to address these shortcomings? How are we going to raise you from here to a level here? What are we going to do to get there? That's your action plan. Item 3 of the law says, did you sit down and coach your staff? Did you sit down and actually sit there helping to guide, coach, where required, talk, counsel, all those things? Did you do those things? And were you focused on helping the employee improve in your coaching? Right? Item 4, did you give that staff a neutral option, or perhaps a third party whom that staff could go to? Maybe within human resources, but that staff always had some sort of a relationship manager of sorts to serve as an intermediary if he or she had any problems with the performance issues raised, right? And now the last one is, did you give the staff a reasonable time? Notice there, were any warnings explicitly required under the law when it comes to managing performance? The law does not mandate it. Now, the other thing in terms of how you document performance issues is with regard to the issue of legalism. You see, the idea of managing staff performance has been too caught up with legalistic concepts. And this is where we write letters like regarding written warning 1 dash poor performance. And we begin the letters by saying, it is with deep regret I know that your performance has dropped. You've got to stay away from making general conclusions like that. The tone of your letters got to be important. How you write is very reflective in terms of your intention in helping someone improve. Because if this case ever goes to court, the industrial court aren't going to believe you when you say, I really tried to help the employee improve, but I started my letter by saying it is with deep regret. Right? Rather, you need to start writing more softer tone letters. For instance, to say, hey, I noticed there was this complaint about this issue. I'm concerned about it. Let me know what you need from me. Please give this your utmost importance. And my door is always open, but please make sure this gets attended to at the end of the day. Right? Something along those lines. Could you send an email to the staff? Absolutely. There is no requirement for absolute formality. The most important thing is you find a way of documenting it. And today, things like emails or even more informal communications, even WhatsApp and Facebook groups are accepted. However, from a company perspective, we recommend that you still at least keep it to some level of formality with emails. But make sure the other aspect is when you are talking about your staff's performance, you stray away from giving general statements like your communication skills are poor, strategically you're not cut out, your performance is dropping. You need to give more specific feedback. For instance, to say, last week when it came to this particular customer, you said this, or your report with this particular issue was wrong with regard to that particular statement. You have to be specific with the details if you're going to comment about someone's performance issues. Thank you.